Iskander's proud history sets the stage for growth and progression, a vision which is bolstered by the government's equally progressive policy making, designed to attract foreign investors and ease the flows of FDI into Malaysia in an increasingly competitive global economic climate. But this project aims to be much more than just a workshop for the world. More than 3 times the size of neighbouring Singapore, Iskander covers more than 2,000 square kilometres of land. Land which at current market prices is far less expensive than land just across the causeway in Singapore.
Even office spaces are very attractive in JB as compared to Singapore. Probably we are doing 1/4 of their prices. And Singapore is getting more and more expensive.
The Malaysian government wants to see Iskander pull in some $10 billion in investment in the next 3 years, with the creative and services industries at the core of the development plans.
These are opportunities that we felt when we developed the comprehensive development plan for Iskander were the areas where Johor in particular has an opportunity for growth.
The development is split into 5 distinct economic zones. Zone A is the main city of Johor Bahru Centre, comprising a new financial district and the Danga Bay integrated waterfront city. Zone B is Nusa Jaya and will be the home of the Johor New State Admin Centre, University Park, the Medical Hub and International Resort, and the Southern Industrial Logistics Cluster. In Zone C, the Western Gate is the port and free trade zones, connected to Singapore by a second bridge, together with the World Heritage Site of wetlands of international importance. Across the peninsula is the Eastern Gate and Zone D, the site of the Technology Park and a regional distribution centre, plus further port facilities. And in Zone E, Senai Skadai, sits the International Airport and Cargo Hub, along with the Senai Multimedia Centre, Skadai Knowledge Hub and High Tech Park. The project is being actively supported by Malaysia's state investment arm, Khazanah, headed up by Azman Mokhtar, who was drafted in from the private sector 3 years ago. With the lofty goal of attracting some $100 billion of investment over the next 20 years, Dato' Azman will need to draw heavily on the expertise he gained from his time in investment banking.
Last night, for example, Khazanah, we raised $647 million of a Chinese investment that we have called Paksen, that was issued as an Islamic finance structure. People are pulling out deals, and we are going out. And it was a very gutsy call, according to the bankers. We went in, it was 10 times oversubscribed. It was at the tightest end of interest rate as well, conversion premiums. And this is a very major endorsement of not just Khazanah, but Khazanah has a proxy for the Malaysian name. It also says that there's a lot of liquidity out there looking for good, high-quality assets and good, high-quality development. Iskander, we believe, is definitely one of them.
To cement these plans, the Malaysian government wants to leverage on the region's competitive land and labour costs to turn Iskander into an entertainment, medical, educational, high-tech and logistics hub. It's a high-reaching project that needs to appeal to an international audience if it's going to be a success.
There's usually 3 parts to place brands: live, work and play. Work is the engine for the growth, but what Iskander has that other places don't is that natural environment. So the live and the play components are actually very, very compelling for stakeholders, particularly in terms of talent and drawing talent to the region.
Another issue high on the agenda is security. Rapid growth areas are often hard to control. Lessons have been learnt from established economic zones like Shenzhen. And the management team at Iskander have drafted in some big-hitting talent when it comes to managing the security of their investment from the foundations up.
We will be helping across all areas of our infrastructure business. It includes safety and security. It includes our Eco-Imagination suite of products and services, and will include our energy management systems going forward. So we're involved in many different ways.
And GE's CEO, Jeff Immelt, is equally positive about the project.
We think it's a great opportunity for security, water, energy. So I think it's going to be a substantial growth opportunity for us.
There can be little doubt that the people responsible for this project have drawn on every possible resource to create a thriving and attractive destination for businesses and travellers alike. And sandwiched as it is between economic powerhouses China and India, they're going to need every bit of expertise they can get, as competition for FDI in the region is fierce. Despite stiff competition from their neighbours and against a backdrop of uncertainty about a potential US recession, the Malaysian economy continues to perform robustly. 2007 saw growth of 6.3%, and there's every expectation that Malaysia will perform well again this year. One of the keys to achieving that growth is the project here in Iskandar, and the government are pulling out all the stops to ensure they attract the right kind of investor. If you look at where Malaysia sits on a map, at the crossroads of the east-west trade routes and midway between the rapidly growing Chinese and Indian markets, it's not hard to see why they consider themselves to be the international gateway to Asia. Iskandar itself is supported by an international airport, a world-class port, and road and rail links to Singapore, with plans on the table to continue building on that infrastructure through 2010 and beyond. Little wonder that some of the biggest companies in the world are jumping onto this investment bandwagon from the start. One such example is General Electric, whose Southeast Asia headquarters are already based in Malaysia's capital, Kuala Lumpur, and who last year committed to a partnership with government-linked UEM Land, the lead developer of the core district, Nusa Jaya.
The economies like the ones in Malaysia are, I think, flourishing and coexisting well with China and India. And as we just see explosive growth across the region. The Malaysian infrastructure, I think, is very supportive of having both regional and global investments. And so I think the timing is good right now in Malaysia.
As well as ensuring that a first-class infrastructure is in place for Iskandar, the government have made huge leaps forward when it comes to cutting the red tape. International investors looking to Iskandar will not have to give up a portion of their business to a local stakeholder, as is the case with the rest of the country. And a generous tax holiday for 10 years acts as a further financial carrot to help draw the FDI in.
I think Malaysia is beginning to walk the talk. And in fact, that's reflected in some of the world competitiveness indices and the ease of doing business and so on and so forth. So Malaysia has actually scaled up in the ranking.
The results are plain to see. In 2007, Johor received close to $2.5 billion of FDI from 32 projects, placing the state among the top 3 recipients of FDI in Malaysia for 5 consecutive years. Most notably, a commitment of $1.2 billion from a consortium of Gulf investors.
Also because the oil prices is very, very high, right? You see a lot of money available for investment. And the Gulf countries are actually quite good in terms of scouting out for good investment ideas or good investment destinations. So I think the trend is definitely up for Malaysia. There will be more money coming through.
Other foreign commitments that stand out include the investment by Abu Dhabi investment agency Mubadala Development, Kuwait Finance House, and Dubai-based property developer Soraya Holdings.
With the level of growth that's taking place in the world today, the increased demand for financial institutions, I truly believe that with what is available in Malaysia, that this district will ultimately become an additional financial hub.
I think this will be a flagship development for the region, not just for Malaysia. I think its location will give many opportunities for many special developments. I think you'll see a first-class development across the board, from the real estate component to the financial component to the recreational component, wellness component. Each one of these components has a clear business case, and we are committed to quality.
And this, it would seem, is only the start. In order to keep momentum up on the flow of FDI into the region, the government plans to intensify promotional trade activities, cut red tape, upgrade industrial infrastructure, and further cut corporate tax from 26% to 25% in 2009, paving the way for Malaysia's continued competitiveness in a world where FDI flows are shifting steadily away from traditional destinations.